Good morning. Good morning. How is everybody feeling? Definitely a bit of a different energy today, and it's going to be a different energy on the show today because we have a special guest. Please welcome Court Burns of Bravely Beautiful brand. Thank you so much
Hello!
for being here.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I'm like, I think I'm one of your biggest fans. There's many of them. Yeah.
You are definitely one of my biggest supporters, and I
Mhm.
appreciate that so much. We just connected through social media, and I feel like you have been talking a bunch about this eclipse and this kind of moment in time. So I wanted to bring you
Mhm.
on so we can kind of bounce off of each other and talk about the energy that's coming, the energy that's going, just generally where everything is at right now.
Yeah, I love it. I'm so here for it.
So, how are you feeling with the eclipse? Because you're Pacific time as well, right? You're in Vancouver.
Yeah. We're in the same time zone. Um,
So, at 1 a.m., that's when
yeah.
the full moon became full, peaked.
Mhm.
How are you feeling energetically?
So last night and like the last couple nights, I literally have just been like, I am so exhausted. I just need to sleep. And typically I'm someone who just likes to keep going. So it's hard to, listen to that. But I feel sleepy, I feel tired, I have the glossy eyes, but I also feel this, like I think I was saying to you, like this weird excitement. Like it's like this um yeah, it's an excitement feeling. So I'm leaning into that.
I am feeling the same way. I think this eclipse has gotten kind of a bad rap online. I know eclipse season can bring changes, it can bring chaos, it can bring shifts. We know that. But for some reason, like this eclipse, all of the content that a lot of astrologers are putting out, I feel like is kind of invoking a lot of fear in people. Are you feeling that too?
Yeah, I noticed it when I had said, like, typically during eclipse seasons, we don't manifest or, do a big manifestation ritual. And a lot of people messaged me and were like, what do you mean? And like, it scared them. And I was like, oh, okay. Like that, that could evoke some fear in people. So 100% I see that. Mhm.
I think it's important to note too that if you did a manifestation ritual for the full moon, it doesn't mean something horrible or crazy is going
Oh,
to
yeah.
happen to you. Like we're literally manifesting every second of every day with our thoughts, with our energy, with our vibe, our emotions. So it's not that your manifestations are going to go awry if you put something out to the universe. It's just more that it's not the best time to
Yeah.
manifest.
Yeah, and I think you had said this too. It's like it's a really good time to be still or like
Mm.
rest. And I think that that's the permission that personally for myself, I know sometimes I need. So instead of constantly going and being like I'm going to manifest this, it's like, "Oh, maybe this gives me time to just rest, set the foundation, have the soil like fertile, so to speak, and then like I can ride the wave of the eclipses." That's how I see it.
That is the perfect way to put it. And because this full moon, this lunar eclipse is in Taurus, I think we can really lean into that energy of stillness, of getting grounded, of just slowing down and getting comfortable in our own bodies and with
Yeah.
ourselves. And I think that any chaos, shifts, changes that the eclipse season that starts basically today will be a lot easier to navigate if you're coming from a grounded place. That's
Mm,
what kind of keeps coming through for me every time I'm writing my forecast or kind of looking into the energy is just get grounded, get still, get comfortable with yourself.
yeah, literally, like, if you have the ability to do this, put your feet in the earth. Like, walk outside barefoot, go to
Yes.
the beach, go to a forest. Like, this is number 1 on my list today. Like, it's so important. Yeah.
Yes, connecting with nature. That's a great reminder for me because I have been in my little creation bubble, go, go, go mode for the past like 2 weeks, just churning out content, doing all these things. And I think I've kind of like lost that connection to nature. In fact, my partner's on a business trip right now by the coast, and he's like, oh, I wish you were here, and sending me all these great pictures. I'm like, oh, yeah, you said put your feet in the sand. I'm like, oh, I need to put my feet in the sand so bad today.
Find like a little patch somewhere, everyone. Just like, even if it's like a little grass patch out front of your home, if it's safe, of course. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna just be laying
Yeah.
on my front lawn today. Just please
Love
ground.
it.
Please
Yeah.
just settle
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this eclipse because this was not just your average normal eclipse. This was like a historic event, the longest lunar eclipse in more than 500 years, which is absolutely wild. And actually, I'm going to pull up this little animation from NASA. And hold on just a sec. Let's see. You can kind of see on your screen here, they have timestamps and everything. I love stuff like this because
Yeah, it's so cool.
it's a lot easier to wrap your head around like why the eclipse is happening and how it happens and the science behind it when you can literally see it.
Yeah.
So what I was looking into kind of the science behind this and why it's the longest lunar eclipse, and it's because the moon's orbit isn't perfectly circular. It's kind of like an ellipse. And so it's at its farthest point away from Earth right now, or almost its farthest point away from Earth. So it takes a lot longer to pass through the Earth's shadow. So
Oh, wow.
basically, the eclipse, if you caught it, good for you. I was definitely asleep. I tried to stay up. But it lasted more than 3 hours, just the actual moon becoming red, going through the Earth's shadow, which is wild. They usually last like maybe an hour and a half, you know?
Yeah. It's so interesting because I was actually thinking and feeling to myself, I'm like, this moon cycle of being in Taurus feels like it's lasting a long time.
It
So,
is.
yeah, it felt like that. And now knowing that it's like the longest eclipse, okay, well, maybe that has something to do with it.
Totally. And astrologically, eclipses are a time where shadows are kind of revealed or hidden information can be revealed because, you know, you have to think about humans thousands of years ago when astrology was first being created, basically, when this language was being created. Uh, Humans would look up in the sky and see a shadow on the moon or see the moon turn red. And like this was still when, you know, the solar system was a very new concept. So it invoked a lot of fear in people. Like, you know, why is the moon turning red? Why is our luminary, our nighttime luminary being blocked? And then kind of got that bad reputation of being associated with natural disasters, historical events, although a lot of those things do happen around the eclipse. So it's kind of that matter of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I saw one description of the eclipse that really stuck with me. The Astro Twins, actually, my favorite astrologers, talked about how the shadow on the moon invites us to look into our shadows as well, or reveals what might have been hiding in our shadows as well. And
Mhm.
with this being the longest lunar eclipse, I really just got the message to sit and observe whatever comes up, whatever shadows are being revealed, whatever information is being revealed, just to really sit through it and allow it. Have you had anything crazy
Yeah.
happen with this full moon?
Oh my goodness. Like I've actually been witnessing a lot of it, but I think you described
Yes.
that so well. And I've yes, the shadows. But you know, I live in Vancouver, BC, and there has been devastation in our province. And it's been quite interesting to see the dynamics of obviously Taurus being about our earth, right? And like those five
Mhm.
senses and literally like that grounding nature, and then Scorpio being this like energy that is very profound, as we know so well. We both have Scorpio moons, but that emotional undercurrent, and watching that kind of opposition take place in our natural world, I'm like, this is astrology in action, like quite literally.
Oh, totally. And earlier this week, I know you were talking about this with the Taurus moon conjunct Uranus,
Yeah.
which was what, 2 days ago now on Wednesday, I think. And
Mhm.
that was really when a lot of these environmental changes were peaking in your area. And that's that Taurus energy we're talking about, really focusing on the physical, focusing on the 3D, focusing on the earth. And that's likely going to be a theme, I think, that plays out over the next 2 years in this next eclipse cycle. So let's just kind of talk more about
let's do it.
Let's talk about eclipse season. Okay, let's talk about the next 2 weeks, and then we'll kind of project the next 2 years and talk about the energy of the Taurus Scorpio axis. But this eclipse was kind of the official start of eclipse season. Some people have been feeling the energy already, but once the eclipse happened, we now have 2 back-to-back eclipses. The next new moon in Sagittarius is also a solar eclipse. And what's really interesting about this is that this morning's full moon marked the first eclipse on the Taurus Scorpio axis, and that cycle is going to play out over the next 2 years. This next solar eclipse marks the end of the cycle on the Gemini Sagittarius axis, which has been playing out for the last 2 years. So I really see the next 2 weeks as this period of kind of sitting in the middle of these 2 cycles, almost this precipice of transformation, kind of ending out one chapter and beginning a new one. And I feel like the chaos everybody's projecting, and maybe the craziness might just be a matter of things clearing out, things coming in, kind of that shakeup period. Are you feeling that too?
Yeah, 100%. Actually, like an image or something that comes to me when we're talking about this, it's like, do you know when, people are getting married, or when you're graduating, or when there's like a big event, and there's like 2 weeks before that big event where you're getting all of the last minute things done, like things are changing, you're making those last minute changes. That is sort of how I see this energy in a sense. And that feeling of chaos is like, there's unknown ahead, and human beings are like, I just want to know, like, I want to know what's going to happen. So that nervousness feeling is normal if you feel that, but also it's like, how can we surrender to, what's coming and sort of move forward again, ride that wave of the eclipses.
Absolutely. And I love that visualization of a major event happening. I'm trying to picture myself in the next 2 weeks, just like with that craziness happening, but me just kind of like sitting in the middle of it and observing everything moving around me. That's like really the approach I'm trying to take, because I do feel like there could be some commotion, or like I said, just things being cleared out, things coming in, final 2 weeks of this 2-year chapter. But also I think this eclipse, this full moon, is giving us just a glimpse, a preview of 2022. Because it's important to understand the axis aspect of the eclipses. So if you are familiar with your north node, your south node in your chart, that's the axis we're talking about with eclipses, the moon's north and south nodes. And the north and south nodes have been in Gemini and Sagittarius, respectively, for the past 2 years. Next January, the north node shifts into Taurus and the south node shifts into Scorpio. So we haven't quite gotten to that point yet, but this eclipse is, I think, giving us kind of a preview of what will play out, what 2022 will bring, what 2023 will even bring. And let's talk about Taurus Scorpio energy and kind of that axis. So of course, Taurus is the earth, the physical, whereas Scorpio is kind of like the energetic, not the physical at all, the shadows, the farthest corners of the universe.
Yeah, it's like everything deep, like, whereas like, Taurus is like the surface or above, like what we see. And then Scorpio is like that deepest part of the ocean, right? Like everything, like you said, the shadows that are within us, subconscious.
Yeah, the underworld. I love that graphic that was circulating about a week ago of Taurus and Scorpio being the roots underground of the plant, and Taurus being the flower or the plant on top of the earth. And so I think we could see over the next 2 years these periods of growth upward and then reflecting downward, or release, and then kind of growth upward. I think it's going to kind of be that without, within,
Yeah.
energy back and forth. And also, I think when it comes to money, this is really going to play out as well
Mhm.
because, Taurus loves the money.
Yeah, so does
And
Scorpio does too, but it's like
yes,
it's so going to be so interesting to see the dynamic.
yeah, and Taurus is more about that income, that physical, that immediate, whereas Scorpio is more about the long-term investments, the
Mhm.
energetic contracts,
Mhm.
thinking bigger about your wealth, your income,
Mhm.
how your money, your energy is being used in your
Yeah.
life. So I definitely think that could play out as well in these cycles. We could see like money coming in and then either a release of it or deciding what to do with it, how we want to spend our energy kind of
Yeah.
playing out as well as, these two signs have a lot to do with sensuality and sexuality.
Mhm. Mhm. Although, like, it's so interesting because when we're talking about Scorpio, I love Scorpio energy, and it's like the taboo things, right? That like we don't always bring light to because we don't want to talk about them. So you're
Mhm.
right. Like the Taurus is like pleasure and the senses, and it's like okay, like that axis of deep, yeah, sexual connection and Taurus wanting like that touch and feel. And it makes sense coming off of the years that we have just experienced of being apart. Um, and yeah, I kind of bring that into it a little bit. And I think it's very interesting.
That's such a good point. I didn't even
Mhm.
think about that. How many people have been probably deprived of physical
Yeah.
touch more than usual because of the pandemic, because of being isolated. And then I know we're not in quarantine mode still, but I think a lot of people are trying to adjust to
Mhm.
dating or putting themselves out there again or trying to figure out what's important to them.
Mhm.
So that is definitely something that could play out over the next couple of years. And I hope in a good way in your
Yeah.
life, right?
Come
Like I
on.
hope it's just like all the sensuality, all the sexuality, owning your power, owning your body.
Mhm.
Like that is what I'm seeing if you're watching for you.
Yes.
For
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
For
Money,
sure.
it's like money, the three words are like money, sex, power are very interesting words that come up. And I'm curious what your thoughts are around that power word because I feel like there's going to be a big shift in regards to what that word means energetically and shift in power in different ways, especially on that axis. So I don't know if you've thought about that.
Totally.
Hmm.
I have thought a little bit about power. I think the axis between Taurus and Scorpio is going to really reveal our values around power, right?
Mm,
Because Taurus is all about our values, all about our worth. And I
yeah.
think it's really going to expose issues of self-worth versus power and control and
Mm,
understanding that our power is within us, right? And I think that's going to be bringing a lot of lessons over the next couple of years, especially as we're seeing a lot of power structures crumbling, changing. The US is coming up on its Pluto return at the beginning of next year. So I think we'll see a lot of people observing power in a different way, understanding power in a different way, understanding their own power, their own values when it comes to power, their own worth in a different way. And I do have a feeling that that will kind of manifest in the collective with
yeah.
structures of power changing as well, toppling or shifting with this eclipse cycle.
Yeah, yeah, that was very well said. It's
Huh.
all of that. I love it so much. I'm like, yes.
This is why I wanted to have you on. I'm like,
Yeah,
we are just on the same wavelength about
yeah,
the energy right now, for sure.
yeah.
And I
Also,
do want to talk. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, also I'm an Aquarius, so I'm just like, yes. Like when that Pluto moves into Aquarius, I'm like, okay, but that's for a later chat.
Yes, totally, totally, totally.
Mhm.
Um, and we're in the age of Aquarius
I know.
too. So even though we're talking about Taurus and Scorpio and Gemini and Sagittarius, we're all feeling that Aquarian energy. We're
Mhm.
leaning into technology. I literally started a live stream, you know,
Yeah. Here we are right
all
now,
about it.
literally. Yeah.
Right, all about the future. And speaking of the future, as far as how these eclipses are going to play out in the collective, I really do see, I mean, we've already been seeing more awareness about what's going on with the earth, with the globe as a whole, with climate change. We're seeing weather patterns changing, but I do think there's going to be much more of a heightened awareness over the next 2 years of the changes and the destruction that's happening to our earth. We have Scorpio, the planet of death and rebirth, the planet of destruction, the planet that shows the shadows, that shows the things we don't necessarily want to think about or aren't pleasant to think about. And then we have Taurus ruling the physical earth. And we're already seeing these changes to the earth, these intense weather patterns like you were talking about in your area in Canada. Even a few weeks ago, I saw that there were these crazy water spouts off the coast of Florida. I mean, more and more we're just seeing wild weather patterns. And I could see that becoming more intense over the next couple of years, honestly.
Oh, yeah. Intense is a great way to put it because it's like the way that I see it. Number one, we have Uranus in Taurus as well. So it's shaking things up, making us a little uncomfortable, and also being like, you have to make the changes. Like, I'm trying to tell you to help me, right? And with Scorpio, they're exposing those things. It's like, Mama Earth, Taurus, is telling us, like, you need to pay attention to me. Like, please pay attention. And I think you're right. It's going to be a lot of exposure. And we knew that this was coming. We know that this is happening. And it's like, how can we do our part? How can we sit with the discomfort and take action? Like, that's what this is about.
Totally. And I think it's important to know, too, that Uranus is such a slow-moving planet. Yeah. In fact, I'll pull it up here. So it's going to be in Taurus for a while. Do you know exactly how long, how many years it takes to transit through one sign? I don't know off the top of my head.
It's 7 years. So we've already had it there for about, I think, 3. But it's retrograde. So obviously there'll be like a little bit of a yo-yo there. But yeah, I think we still have like quite a big chunk left to go.
So when we're thinking about these future eclipses, these future full moons, new moons on the Taurus Scorpio axis, think about the fact that every time there's a full moon or a new moon, right around that time, there will be a connection with Uranus, either an opposition with the moon and Uranus or a conjunction with the moon and Uranus. So I think because of the Uranus placement, because it's, it takes so long to transit through Taurus, already over the past couple of years, we've seen changes when it comes to the Earth. I think that's kind of the collective story of climate change, global warming. But I think there will be changes on these new moons and full moons because of the connection to Uranus. We'll see those shifts more intensely. Like I said earlier, it's probably going to be intense. Like Uranus is like the rebel. It's like the revolutionary. It's like you said, hello, wake up. Like these are the changes that are happening. And I think we're going to see that playing out more and more.
Be progressive. Like Uranus wants you to innovate and think of things in a new way. Again, being an Aquarius, I'm like, yes, Uranus is like, I love it because it requires us to change. Think of when everyone needed to pivot during that time of the beginning of the pandemic. And all of a sudden that was fast. Like people pivoted fast because you had to. That is Uranus. Like that's Uranus in action. So now we're going to be really seeing that in our Earth, in our world, in our environments.
And I think on a positive note, these connections to Uranus during Taurus, Scorpio eclipses can help us lean into that innovation, can help us, find those new ideas, come up with solutions quickly. I'm hoping at least that Uranus not only will help kind of topple things, change things up, but will help innovate as well.
It's like that spark that when you have like a moment, you're like, oh my gosh, that's it. Like that spark or idea that comes to you, that's also Uranus. So it's breakthrough, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I have this idea and it created a new path. So
yeah, I totally think of that Uranus Aquarius energy as like electricity, like you said. Like it can't be seen. It's not physical. It's kind of like hovering up here, like ruling the metaphysical, ruling the metaverse. We're all connecting electronically. Like this electronic version of me is connecting with an electronic version of you through the screen, you know. So we'll probably see more of that as well when it comes to technology over the next couple years and different ways that we are connecting with people. I mean, that's more just like Age of Aquarius in general, but I could see some changes because of the eclipses that way as well.
100%. Yeah.
All right. So we kind of talked about the eclipse. Let's just talk about how we can navigate the next 2 weeks of eclipse season. We talked about getting grounded. We talked about getting still. What are you feeling the energy will be over the next couple weeks heading into this new moon in Sagittarius, ending out that cycle?
Yeah, I mean, obviously for everyone in your chart, it's going to be a little bit different, but as the collective, the image that keeps coming to mind, and I've been getting this, it's one of my signs, but is the yin and yang. And it's this energy of like, you know, we're what's leaving and what's coming. It's like this balancing energy. And I keep pulling cards that are like balance, 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 balance. So I think, yes, getting grounded, but it's also just remembering that, like, how can we find balance in between change, right? And we've all experienced so much change in the past 2 years. So it can be a lot. And I think it's like, okay, how can we take care of ourselves? Like, literally during this time, how can we take care of ourselves first and then help others? That's sort of what I've been picking up.
That is exactly what's been coming through for me too. Every time I'm like thinking about this full moon in Taurus and this eclipse, I just keep hearing self-care, like take care of your body, take care of your physical vessel. You can't, like you said, help other people or achieve your goals or do all the things you want to do if your body is depleted. And I love that image you said about like the next 2 weeks being kind of this crazy event. And again, just like tuning into your own energy, your own body, finding security, finding comfort in yourself, I really think is the best advice I can give, at least.
Yeah. And I love how you said finding security within yourself, because with Uranus being in Taurus, that's also been coming up a lot, right? And we're feeling like we want safety, like, and after the last few years, that's sort of been not necessarily easy for everyone to find within themselves, but I think it's really giving us permission to be like, okay, how do I feel good inside myself? Like, what feels secure and safe to me? So I love that you said that. That's such a big word for this eclipse.
And another lesson from the pandemic, right? We were all just kind of forced to sit with ourselves for months on end. We are well versed in being alone. Like, seriously.
Oh yeah.
We learned that lesson.
I'm like both introverted, extrovert, but let me tell you, okay, my introversion is like next level now.
I really learned how to enjoy my alone time during the pandemic, especially because I don't live alone. So, you know, that's a whole other element of it. When you're quarantining with someone else, you're like, okay, I really just miss being alone sometimes. Seriously.
Oh God.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, we talked a little bit about manifestation, but I think that kind of plays into that stillness factor. Instead of declaring your desires to the universe, instead of trying to take action on what you want to manifest, I think just observing the energy around you is going to be more beneficial over the next 2 weeks than actively trying to push or make something happen. Because if you're pushing too hard or you're trying to force something that's not meant for you, this eclipse energy is going to shut you down hard, I think.
100%. It's like that, you can't open that door even if you wanted to. Like, it's the eclipses will show you what is meant for you and what is not, and it will be very, very clear. So yeah, like sitting still and being like, okay, like, what is my next, like, what's coming through? Like, tune in to your own intuition and feel like what's kind of coming.
Yeah, I love how you said that. It is a time when eclipses are a chance for the universe to make those shifts. That's why they can feel abrupt. I mean, kings have been dethroned. There have been natural disasters. Natural disasters are, you almost sit and observe them in awe because you can't control them. You can't do anything about them. So you can almost view the next 2 weeks or the next few weeks as just an opportunity to sit and observe something you can't control and just allow the universe, source, God, whoever is in control of all the planets in the solar system to shift things in your life. And remember that you're cared for, and whatever shifts are coming are meant to push you closer to your direction, your path.
Yes. And trust and have faith. Like, we're going to move into Sag season soon. And that's really going to amplify that. Like, have faith and trust that like what you desire is out there and it's for you.
Absolutely. And on that note, Sag season starts on Sunday, which might bring the urge to like go, do, connect, have fun, you know, maybe check out, maybe have a little party or whatever. And I think that's fine. I think that's fine to lean into fun, lean into joy, get into that energy of abundance, get into that optimistic vibe. But Sagittariuses can be very motivated, that energy of just like wanting to make things happen, you know, and like wanting things to manifest. So just try not to like force anything, like I said, you know?
Yeah. That's great advice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I want to go through what this eclipse and full moon means for each sign. But first, let's take a look at the chart right now because the moon's not even in Taurus anymore. So let's talk about the next couple of days and then we'll go through each sign, what area of your chart will be activated. So I'll bring up the chart again. You can see that the moon is now in Gemini. It's funny because you said how long the Taurus moon felt like it lasted, but really because we came out of that sign, the moon came out of that sign so early this morning, it really did feel like it lasted a full 3 days of the Taurus moon, you know? But now we're in Gemini, which is just, I think it's a lighter energy when it comes to the moon. How are you feeling about a Gemini moon?
Yeah, I love a Gemini moon. My Mars is in Gemini, so yeah, I love it.
Yeah. It's like my midheaven's in Gemini. Yeah. I'm like,
we're talking.
Like, let's work. Yeah.
We're socializing, we're connecting. It's like, okay, like, you know, and so leaning into that is like, all right, let's just have a good Friday, you know?
Yeah. For real. Like, I think, well, you know, Gemini energy is all about learning and teaching as well. And so I think we can kind of lean into that energy this weekend by just like learning from whatever this eclipse throws at us, you know, sharing our wisdom with other people, not forcing anything, but just allowing that conversation to flow. I think we'll want to connect with people more over the weekend, whether that's in person, whether that's being around loved ones or friends, or whether that's virtually like this, you know, just talking about the things that we love that are important to us, talking about the energy of the eclipse. I really feel like I picture today people going into work or, you know, going about their daily lives. And I'm like seeing everybody like, did you see the eclipse? Like talking to each other about it.
Did you sleep last night? Like, did you sleep? Like, how was your sleep? Like, that's the chat of the day.
Yes. That is totally what I picture. Like everybody being super chatty about the moon, about their weekend, about what's going on in their lives.
Yeah.
And then what's really cool is in the next couple hours, I believe, let me fast forward here, the moon makes a conjunction with the north node. So really, okay, so about 9 o'clock this morning, really amplifying this pivotal moment. I really see this eclipse in the next 2 weeks as this pivotal moment, almost this chance of alignment, right? Because the moon, the sun, and the earth are all in alignment during an eclipse, and that will happen again in 2 weeks. So we're almost in the middle of this like portal of transformation where we're just sitting in it and we can almost visualize it like this portal moving around us, pulling away what needs to leave, bringing in what needs to come in, almost like a tornado, picking things up as it goes. And this conjunction with the North Node this morning could really have you thinking about your purpose and where you are heading, and also all of the lessons you've learned over the past 2 years during the last eclipse. I really feel like that's setting the stage for these next 2 weeks, closing out this chapter on the Gemini Sagittarius axis.
The reflection piece, like I know we're always kind of reflective at the end of the year, but
well, you and me are, because we have Scorpio moon. So we're reflecting all the time.
Hands down, yeah. But it's so interesting because it does, literally we're finishing a 2-year cycle, right? Like we're preparing to end that. So it feels like there's a lot of people right now being like, whoa, whoa, like what just happened, and talking and communicating, and it's such an important piece. Like I really, again, my Scorpio moon and Pisces rising loves it, but it's like, I encourage you guys to do that. Like anyone who, like, just think of how much you've been through and all the things that you've learned about yourself, about others, about the world. Like this is huge. It's a great time to do that. Yeah.
The full moon is always a beautiful time to reflect. And the last new moon in Taurus was on May 11th.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, we usually just talk about that cycle when we're talking about new moons and full moons, but this one was an eclipse. So it just brings a broader perspective over the course of several years. But really, I see full moons as a time of celebration, as a time of gratitude, as a time to really acknowledge how much we've grown over the past 6 months. So think back to where you were in May, not only because of the new moon in Taurus, but because that was the last lunar eclipse in, I think, Sagittarius. So we have this like pivotal moment also in May. Think back to where you were and just acknowledge how far you've come since then, and how much you've learned, and how much you've already manifested, and the vision you now hold because of what happened in May. That's what I've really been feeling. Did you have a major shift at that time in your life? I know you've had a ton of changes this year as well.
It's been wild. Like, I think that was when I actually leaned into starting my podcast. So the ideas were sort of coming into then, but like you didn't even have this then, right? Like,
so you know what's so crazy? On that eclipse in May, I was still reporting at my job at a local news station, and I was sent out to go report on the eclipse. And one of my dear friends who was working at the same station at the time, she knew how into astrology I was. I'd already kind of started posting a little bit more about astrology, or just like giving my insights to people, you know. And she was like, well, can we ask you about astrology on air? Like, can we ask you about what this means? And I was like, yeah, if the managers are okay with it, like I'm totally down to give my insight. So I'm out there, like my photographers like zoomed in on the eclipse because the timing was actually during our morning show live. And I give my little rundown about how long it's going to be, blah, 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 like the facts of it, why it's happening, how it works. And then at the end, my friend Martina says, okay, you're the astrology queen. Like, what does this mean? And I just kind of like riffed, you know. I was like, well, this is in Sagittarius. We're thinking about travel. We're opening up, expansion, blah, blah, blah. I'm just kind of like letting it channel through me, letting it flow through me. And everybody was like, oh my God, how did you do that? Like, and it just, that kind of like, there was a light bulb moment for me of, oh, people are actually interested in this that aren't super like woo-woo into astrology. Like everyday people care when there's this major lunar event. They want to know what it's going to mean for their lives. And then more and more I started posting about astrology. Like I posted that clip to my Instagram and people were like, this is amazing. I want to see more astrology on the news. So I was just thinking about that today, how crazy that in May, when we had this last eclipse, we had this new moon in Taurus, that in the past 6 months, that little spark manifested into a whole new career shift, show, everything.
And that is what eclipses do, people. That is exactly.
I was not planning that. Like, I didn't ask for that to happen. You know, I just kind of got put in that situation, and I was like, well, yeah, I would love to talk about astrology. Like, that's all I ever want to talk about.
Yeah.
And it totally just created this whole new timeline almost. I really see, like I was talking about that portal, it's almost like it's shifting timelines where we're evolving quicker in eclipses.
Yeah, I love that. We're literally timeline jumping. That is exactly what this is. Like, so beautiful. I love that so much.
And when I was reflecting on this is the last little note I'll talk about before we get back to the chart. But I wrote with the Taurus Scorpio axis, these are the kind of the questions that came through. What in your life needs to be fed? That Taurus energy, you know, loving to eat, loving to nourish the body. And what needs to die? That Scorpio energy. What needs to fall away? And a lot of these things can be your own beliefs around your worth, your control, your power, like you were talking about, that element of power. What do you have power over and what don't you have power over? So I really just see the next 2 years as, what are we feeding ourselves with? How are we nourishing ourselves? And what is not serving us and what needs to fall away?
Yeah, 100%. That's beautiful. Like the literal, what do we need to grow and what do we need to let go of that is not serving our growth in a sense. So it's so beautiful.
One of my friends recently said that if Scorpio was a plant or like a living thing, it would be a mushroom, because I guess mushrooms aren't plants. But have you seen Fantastic Fungi, that documentary on Netflix?
No.
Oh, you have to watch it. As a Scorpio moon, you will be like all about the death and rebirth. It is like, I wanted to cry at the end. I just wanted to go, like, one of my friends was like, you'll want to hug a mushroom at the end of it.
Okay, but you're right. I'll watch it this weekend. That's my
that's the homework. Yeah, homework for the end of Scorpio season. Yeah, and perfect for the Gemini moon. Consuming new information is perfect.
Exactly. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so speaking of the Gemini moon, it makes this connection to the North Node this morning, just a little bit later. And then tonight, it has kind of this fun little mashup with Saturn and Chiron. So let's jump ahead a couple hours so we can really see how this is going to play out. I think it's going to be around 11 p.m. Pacific time. So, okay, yeah. The moon, when it gets to 8 degrees in Gemini, connects with Chiron, forms a sextile to Chiron in Aries, and then also forms a trine to Saturn. So that's at 11 p.m. And I could see this. These are both positive connections to these planets, so I don't think this is going to be too intense of a transit of the moon. But I think it could remind us that our healing, that connection to Chiron, takes time. This is a slow process. And I think it will really amplify our awareness around time in general with that trine to Saturn, the ruler of time, really puts our focus on the passage of time. So it can kind of help us be a little bit more patient, I think, and just sit in this moment, but also reflective on the healing we've done over the past 6 months or 2 years, the healing we still have to do over the next few weeks or few years. How are you seeing this connection to Saturn and Chiron tonight playing out?
It's interesting because, yes, that reflective piece, but also when I think of Gemini, I really think about like our mind or our mental state, right? And seeing as, it's an air sign, and there's a lot, I'm a big mental health advocate. So I love that you said patience with our healing journey, right? And how the phrase that's coming through is like, how can we be kind to our minds? We've been processing so much. We live in the information age, and there's a lot of information circulating all the time. And so how can we slow down a little bit, take time, reflect, and also like speak nicely to ourselves? Like what we say to our minds is like very important. So like during this, it's like, how can we actually speak, like say things that are kind and make us feel good? That's the moon. And sort of support our own healing in that way. That's sort of how I see that.
And we've been talking a ton about stillness in the next 2 weeks. I think this weekend, and especially tonight, if you're not, out on the town getting crazy under the eclipse vibes or whatever. I know it's Friday night, but if you do have more of a low-key Friday night planned, I think it would be a great moment late tonight to start a meditation practice if you don't already have one. That's a great combination of that mental wellness, of checking in with your own mental state, being kind to your own mind, like you said, and also sitting in stillness, receiving what messages need to come through, just finding that security in that stillness, right? Finding that security, knowing that if you sit still for 20 minutes and don't do anything, you're still going to be alive and everything's going to be okay. And even though the Gemini moon might have a million things racing through your head when you're trying to meditate, it's a great practice of, it's almost, even though this isn't a time to manifest, you're almost setting the intention of stillness, of receiving, of allowing over the next couple weeks during eclipse season.
Yeah, that's so good. It's like the more you train yourself to just, even if it's like you start with 3 minutes and then you move up to 5 minutes, like that will help train your mind. That's what we have to do with Gemini. Like, you know, it's a lot of energy. So
yeah. For sure. For sure. Gemini, all the Geminis I know are the most like chatty, talkative, social people. And so I have my South Node in Gemini. So I was like, anytime I'm around Geminis, I'm like, you're my people. Like, you get me. You just talk and jump around from subject to subject all day.
Literally all over the place. Like I have my Mars in the 3rd house in Gemini, so I am the same.
Totally. But for me, meditation can be really difficult if I'm not guided, because I have the rapid thoughts coming through. I have the Virgo Mercury energy. I've got the midheaven in Gemini, the South Node in Gemini. So I'm just like, at my core, I feel like I have so much Mercury energy, which makes it really hard to quiet my mind. So I would recommend, if you're not a regular meditator, if you don't have a regular practice, find even just on YouTube a free 5-10 minute meditation. You can even find one specifically for this eclipse or for this full moon. There are so many creators out there who put their content out for free just to help other people who need a few minutes of relaxation.
Yeah, just a few. Yeah.
Maybe more than a few, but we'll just start with a few. Yeah. Let's see. Some people are coming in the comments. Let's say hello. Jennifer says, portal of transformation. Love it.
I love that.
I'm just picturing myself in this portal, just allowing. Yes. Lots of people saying good morning, hello. Okay, so I think now we should go through each sign and what this is going to activate. And we'll just go through and talk about which house this full moon falls in for you, and how that could show up in your life. So I'll just kind of go through each house and then give you a second to say whatever comes through. I feel like we're just flowing. We're just
riff. Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with Taurus, because this full moon is in Taurus. So this is going to activate the 1st house, meaning like a shift in identity. I see Tauruses. And keep in mind, before we go deeply into this, if you know your rising sign, I would recommend listening to that. But if you don't, your sun sign will do. Just whatever resonates, take it. Whatever doesn't, leave it. So anyway, Taurus going to be activating the 1st house, yourself, your identity, your purpose. How do you see that showing up for Tauruses or Taurus risings?
Yeah. Also having Uranus right there in your sign, it's radical, like transformation in yourself, body, image, maybe how you're showing up. I know a lot of Tauruses right now are really changing even their appearances. So it's a big one.
Definitely appearances. And I think also, Taurus, how you see yourself in the world is going to change over the next couple of years, and potentially even over the next couple of weeks. Or you might be reflecting on how much you've already changed this year, not just physically, but as far as how you identify in the world. Those themes could definitely be coming up.
Yeah, the identification piece is huge. I know so many Taurus risings who have just gotten tattoos. So there is a little piece of that.
Literal physical change
Yeah.
of your appearance. I love that. I love when that happens,
Mhm.
for sure. Okay, Aries, this is going to activate your second house if you're an Aries or Aries rising. And I really see this illuminating values and worth.
Mhm.
And also, you know, it could bring some reflection on your worth as far as physical money or just your self-worth, or also a new perspective or chapter could be coming when it comes to your income or your work, how you make money.
Yeah, I think that it might even be a little unexpected, the, opportunities that might come, and around work or around like new ways to create money, but it's aligned with what you value and what,
Mm-hmm.
where you're at now on your journey versus where you were a few months ago, or, when this sort of eclipse started like a couple years ago.
That's so good. I love that so much. And eclipses can do that, right? So pay attention if you're an Aries or Aries rising to any opportunities that come your way. I wouldn't say jump at
Mhm.
any chances, but definitely pay attention to what's coming your way. Make sure that any opportunities do align with your values, like you said.
Yeah.
And be patient. You don't have to say yes right away to something. Like, allow things to ruminate. I know if you're an Aries or Aries rising, being patient, slowing down can be a little bit difficult. You might be a little impulsive and want to jump at an opportunity. But even if it's not the right opportunity, it could show you what you value and
Mhm.
show you what kinds of things you do want to call in as far as making money or your job or anything like that.
Mhm. Yeah, well said.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to Pisces and Pisces rising, activating the third house. I
Mhm.
will let you take this because you're a Pisces rising. How do you see this activating this eclipse, this full moon activating you?
Yeah, it's interesting. So for my chart, the way that my degrees are is, this is kind of happening at the end of my second house, or second and into the third.
Okay.
So, but that being said, it's like, yeah, okay, what do you need to say? Communication. Where are you being activated to use your voice? Like this.
Mm,
This is really important, and especially when there's something that you truly care about. We know Pisces are big humanitarians, and so your voice is really being called towards right now to speak and say what you desire, or talk about the things that you really truly care about and are passionate about. I think it can also really have to do with an ending in regards to, or I should say culmination in something, maybe a communication project if there's something that you've had on the go. um, yeah, anything that you the throat chakra is big with this house.
mhm.
So, that's sort of what I'm feeling with that energy.
I love that you said the word culmination because that keeps coming up for me every time I think about this moment and this eclipse. Taurus, this Taurus full moon energy, I see it as just such a full moon, if that makes sense. Like Taurus, the moon is exalted in Taurus. Taurus loves to, or the moon loves to be in Taurus, I should say. And I just see this as we were talking about, that culmination for everybody of the past 2 years, of the past 6 months, and just this pivotal moment where we're shifting and allowing a new journey to begin. So for Pisces and Pisces rising, I would say that really getting grounded, leaning into that Taurus energy and your communication will be
Yeah.
really helpful, especially I think Pisces risings and Pisces can get really into, their emotions and sensitive and empaths and worry about what other people are thinking. But I think this could really activate your own values and worth when it comes to how you're communicating with other people, really communicating your value, standing up for your value, using your throat
Yeah.
chakra. And I also see, because the third house is about thoughts and ideas as well, Pisces and Pisces risings being open to new perspectives or seeing things in a different way. So I
Mhm.
would just recommend kind of having that student's approach, being open to new perspectives, but also knowing your own worth and kind of standing your ground when it comes to communicating that. Not just, I think
Yeah.
Pisces risings can kind of just like take in everything and be like, yeah, I feel that way too,
Mhm.
So
Also
know what you believe.
boundaries. Yeah,
Yeah.
boundaries, I think, is a really good one under. So reflect. If you're a Pisces or Pisces rising, look back and see what have you learned in regards to boundaries for yourself? Because like I know for myself, like this is what I literally have to learn this every single day.
Mhm.
It's like,
Yeah.
so I think that's a big one. And say no. If something doesn't align, you can say no. Like there's your permission slip. I'm learning it too.
Yeah. Say no, Pisces.
Yeah.
Okay. Come on. You don't have to please everybody. I know you can feel that you're hurting someone else. You can feel it deeply, but
I
your
feel
worth,
seen. Yeah.
yeah, your worth is more important than the other person's worth. So
Mhm.
activate your throat chakra. And yeah, that's a perfect example. Say
Yeah.
no
Say no. Yeah.
or say yes or
Yeah.
say yes, but just make sure whatever it is, it's aligned
It's
with
for
your worth.
you. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, let's move on to Aquarius and Aquarius risings. This full moon is going to activate the fourth house. And I really see this as an awakening of your feminine energy, especially with the
Mm.
moon being full, the moon representing the divine feminine. So this could look like you stepping into your own feminine power or forming deeper connections with the women in your life. Maybe you have this urge to create your own family, kind of create your
Mm.
own roots in this world. I could see that playing out over the next couple years for Aquarius and Aquarius rising.
Mm. I love that you said root, like feeling that desire to root. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
really beautiful and have a foundation that feels good to you. And by the way, if you're an Aquarius, you can still have a foundation and be free. Okay. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yes. Oh my gosh. How many Aquariuses needed to hear that? Right? You just want to be a rebel. You just want to
Mm.
roam the earth.
Yeah. You can
Or
have
not.
both.
You just want to roam wherever. Like,
Yeah.
you just want to float around in the metaverse, I feel like.
You can have both. You can have a home, you can have a solid foundation, and you can still be free. So just putting that out there. Yeah.
I love that. I think also for Aquarius and Aquarius rising, because the fourth house rules our roots and our home and family, this eclipse could bring a shift in perspective of your childhood and of how you were raised, your upbringing in this world. Because, of course, understanding where we came from, how our beliefs were formed can help us move forward over the next couple years, over the rest of
Yeah.
our lives, honestly. So be open to shifts in perspective when it comes to your own parents, your own mother, your own home, your own family, how you were raised. And also take note of how those things might be affecting the roots you do want to lay or affect
Mm.
your relationship to your mom or to the women in your life.
Yeah. And what's the relationship you have to security? And does that lead back to your family lineage and all of that? I think that's like a really good one with the Taurus full moon.
And when we're talking about these eclipses, not only for Aquarius and Aquarius risings will this activate your fourth house, but when we have the opposite eclipse in Scorpio, that will be activating the 10th house, which
Mm.
is the masculine, which is that security aspect, that worth aspect, that long-term goal aspect. So I really see, if you're an Aquarius or an Aquarius rising, you thinking about not only where you came from, but where you're going over the next 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really good balance. Yeah.
Yes. And that's true for each of these signs. It's going over the next 2 years to be activating not only the house we're talking about, but the opposite house as well. So if you're well versed in astrology, I would recommend taking a look at that a little bit more closely and kind of looking at what the next couple years could bring for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's move on to Capricorn. This is activating the fifth house. That's where this full moon in Taurus lands for you, which is such a fun house to talk about. This could really activate your creativity, your joy, really allow you to see your inner child fully and let them out, let them be
Yeah.
free, right?
Yeah, let's just Capricorn, you go have some fun. Just go
Thank
enjoy
you.
yourself. Just
Yeah.
go have fun. Okay. You're allowed to put down your work for a little bit, set aside some time for yourself and just like go jump in a puddle or just do whatever feels good to you. Okay.
Yeah, stop being so serious, Capricorn. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Your lives are fun. Enjoy it.
We
Yeah.
we love a Capricorn. We love the stability. We love the goals, the achievement. But sometimes having fun, tuning into that energy, expressing yourself fully, leaning into joy can actually get you to those long-term goals faster because you're vibrating at that higher energy. You're leaning into joy. And when we vibrate at the energy of joy, we call in more joy. So I know Capricorns like to rationalize and analyze everything, but think of it that way. Think about this, even though this isn't really a time to manifest, this is a great practice for you of getting into the energy of joy, having more fun over the next 2 years. And the next 2 years could bring a lot more fun to your life, or even children into your life, because the 5th house rules children.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Your own children or you just being around kids more over the next couple of years, I could definitely see that.
A lot of Capricorns I've been noticing are there's babies coming. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm so drawn to Capricorn and Capricorn energy. So I feel like they kind of get this bad rep, like they're so competitive and so serious. But I appreciate the stability. Okay, I appreciate groundedness of Capricorns.
Yeah, we need that in our lives. It's important.
Yeah, but also with that stability, Capricorn, be open to change, be open to shifts, because the eclipse is probably going to bring them for you. And if you're stubborn or hesitant, it's just going to make it harder for you.
Well said. Yeah.
Sagittarius, this is activating the 6th house. That's where the full moon lands for you if you are a Sagittarius or a Sagittarius rising. That's the house of health, routine. I really see for Sagittarius, because you're the sign that likes to have fun, to not really be weighed down by reality or consequences. We love excess if we're a Sagittarius. I could see some health issues or health cycles playing out over the next couple years if you're not being mindful or really caring for your body. I think that's what this Taurus full moon is showing you. If you have a lot of Sagittarius energy, reminding you that you are living this human experience, you are in this human form, and if you don't take care of the physical, you won't be able to keep having fun and expanding your mind and exploring the world and traveling all over the place.
Yeah, that's a really good a way to kind of encapsulate the 6th house, especially for Sag, because we want to have fun. If we're a Sagittarius, we want to go out and explore, right? But it's like, okay, what are you doing in your day-to-day life that actually helps set you up so that you can go and do those things, right? And obviously, a lot of us, our routines have changed. So I even see with the 6th house, it's like, do you need to like literally change things in your, Taurus would be kind of environment. Do you need to move? Do you need to change something so that you have a better foundation or structure or systems in your life that actually support you to, implement those routines?
Yes, pay attention to your habits, pay attention to the things you do day to day, and try to view them as, building towards something. So what you're eating is fueling you for that expansion. The activities you're doing, your physical activity, is making it so you can do the fun things. So really, if there are any health issues or even just imbalances in your routine that are coming up during this full moon, during eclipse season over the next couple of weeks, pay special attention to those, because I just have a feeling they're not going to go away over the next 2 years unless you acknowledge them and really learn what lessons they're trying to teach you. But this could also shift your routine in an unexpected way. And remember, eclipses are the universe shifting things for us for the highest good. So if you're seeing a shift in your routine, if you're seeing a shift in your health, just try to welcome it as a sign from the universe or a nudge from the universe as in the direction you want to go.
Yeah, definitely. Pay attention to your health. It's important.
Yeah, and self-care for you, Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising. Like really take care of yourself. Okay, Scorpio and Scorpio rising. This is activating the 7th house, all about partnerships, all about relationships. This could be a little preview of your love life over the next 2 years, or it could remove some things so you can call in new love or even new business, platonic, friendship, relationships over the next couple of years.
Oh yeah, Scorpio, it's like, you know, I don't think I can say this on here, but it's like you're gonna either you're being with this person or these people, or you're not anymore. Like it's like you're very like, I'm in or I'm out. Like what are we doing? Like that's how I see it.
Death or rebirth. Either it's out or we're entering a new phase. There's no stagnancy here. This eclipse is really going to shift your relationships, or it could reveal some hidden information or hidden desires even when it comes to partnerships. You could be in a partnership with someone, either a romantic relationship or a business relationship, and this eclipse could reveal that they have different motives than you thought they did, or they have different priorities than you thought they did. Or it could reveal that your priorities are more aligned and you guys are ready to enhance your relationship or take the next step. So really focus on what's going on with your relationships over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, do you have the same values? Like literally all of those things. So important to assess that. Yeah.
Values. Taurus energy, all about values. Pay attention to your values and partnerships for sure. All right, Libra, this is activating the 8th house. When I was writing out these little mini horoscopes for each sign on my website, which you can go read yours if you missed it on the live stream at thespiritualjournalist.com. This is the first thing that came through when I wrote out Libra's energy from this eclipse. How much of your energy are you giving away for free?
Ooh.
Libras love to people please, especially those Libra risings. They're like, look at me, I'm so friendly. I want to make everybody comfortable. I want to make everybody happy. But how much of your energy are you just giving away without getting anything in return? The 8th house is all about energy exchange. Are you getting as much as you're giving? Check the power dynamics of your relationships. This doesn't rule just your relationships and the state of them. This rules like the deep energetic connections of relationships, contracts, joint ventures, sex. Sex is an energy exchange. This could be a pivotal moment in your sex life or your relationship to sex. I really see Libra having kind of an awakening or a realization about their own power and their own energy.
So good. That was like, boom, drop the mic. And I'll just add like that 8th house, almost like in infinity, right? Like it's like what's going out is what's coming in. So really like think of that visual. Like, am I getting what I desire back or no? Because if that's the case, time to create some rebirth action here.
Absolutely. And I love how you said the infinity. Like this isn't a time to manifest. This isn't necessarily a time to actively declare your desires, but as we talked about earlier, we're manifesting all the time. Our thoughts manifest. It's not just a couple days a year that are potent for it. We're always manifesting our reality, co-creating our reality. So your energy, how much you're giving, how much you're getting is one of the most powerful tools when you become aware of it, of manifesting your desires, of manifesting what you want. And for you, Libra or Libra rising, this Scorpio energy is going to activate your second house. So that's also going to rule that, like, what are you getting? What are you receiving? Your worth, all of those things when it comes to power, what you want to call in, what energetically needs to happen before, the next eclipse in Scorpio, allowing you to actually call in that physical.
Yes. Yeah. Again, like, I feel like we keep coming back to this, but like align your values, like align your values. And if it's a non-negotiable, we're done.
Yeah. If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. But literally, I mean, alignment is such a key word here because the moon, the sun, and the earth are in alignment, literally creating this portal of transformation, of change. So Susan says, Libra, woot woot, always giving for free. Libra, sun and rising, Susan. We are talking to you directly.
Woot woot. Oh, she knows. She's like, that is I. Yeah.
Always giving for free. You're probably such a wonderful, loving person because of that, but also make sure you're getting, make sure that there's a balanced power dynamic there. You're a powerhouse, Susan, okay? Don't forget it.
Aw.
All right, Virgo, my favorite sign. I'm a little biased here. Virgo and Virgo rising here. So this is me.
Yeah.
This Taurus lunar eclipse is activating our 9th house for us Virgos. And I really see this as us standing on the precipice of expansion, of exploration, really having that explorer mentality over the next couple years. And I've really lately, it's funny, been thinking a lot about travel and where I want to travel over the next couple years, that freedom. And so I have a feeling if you're a Virgo or a Virgo rising, we love to plan. So you're probably going to be thinking a lot about your future plans for expansion or exploration over the next couple years. I would just say don't book anything during eclipse season. Like wait, really like sit in it, ruminate, let it settle in. Make sure you know exactly where you want to go, how you want to get there, all those things before you just book a trip. But yeah, and also this culmination energy, I really feel, and this is me speaking from what I'm feeling, but I feel like this full moon is a celebration of all of our expansion so far this year already, and reminds us that this isn't the end. We get to keep exploring, we get to keep adventuring, we get to keep expanding, but also lets us sit in how much we've already learned and how much we've already grown so far this year.
That's so beautiful. And also just to like, you are obviously a Virgo rising and Virgo sun, but it's like you're sharing what you know. You are now, speaking in the knowledge that you have, which is also very like 9th house related. It's you're sharing that with the world, and you're doing it in this new and different way. So I think that is something that Virgo risings and Virgos can also take little note of.
And the 9th house also rules publishing, I just learned. So like you said, it's like you're sharing everything you've learned over the past couple years, over the past couple months in a new way. And there could be a shift in how you're sharing your understanding or your perspectives over the next couple weeks or over the next couple years. But just like I said, have that adventurer mind, lean into the unknown. It can be hard to do for Virgos. We like to be in control. We like to have a plan. But try to lean into that adventurer spirit, and I think that will serve you well.
Yeah, I'm going to say, this is my note to them, just do it. Okay? Just do it. Yeah.
Ooh, I like it. I'm taking that mantra. Just share, just explore, like allow yourself. Yeah. See where the world takes you.
Go for it. Yeah.
Don't do anything rash in the next couple of weeks. Like think about 2022, right? Like think about how you want to expand in 2022. The rest of the year, you guys were already in holiday season. You guys don't celebrate Thanksgiving in Canada, but still, we've got all the holidays coming up. It's the next couple months are just going to feel chaotic in general because of that and fly by, I think. So when we're talking about all these things, a lot of the energy we're talking about, I think, is going to play out in 2022.
Oh, 100%. Hands down. Yeah.
Okay. Leo, this is activating the 10th house for Leos and Leo risings. So this is all about your career, your long-term goals, your structures. Think back to the structures you've already built so far this year over the past 6 months. How has your foundation changed? And also think about what you want to build in 2022 and 2023. And this eclipse could reveal some information or create shifts that actually change your priorities and change your plan, change what you're trying to achieve and build.
Yeah, I'm actually excited for Leos on this one. It's a great time to use the energy to create a plan or you're not manifesting, but you're writing out your goals for the next year. This is a great time to do that because this 10th house is so connected to all of those things. So it's going to be really exciting for Leos to see kind of what unfolds for them within their work life.
Yeah, and the 10th house also rules our masculine energy, which Leo is usually a very masculine sign. But I would say use this period of stillness with the Taurus eclipse, with eclipse season over the next couple weeks to really get grounded in your goals. Like, take that time, use that 10th house energy to slow down a little bit and really assess, again, your values, your priorities. Are they aligning with those long-term goals? How do you build the structure step by step to get there? You can start thinking about that plan, about the how, and about what you're building without actually taking action on it during eclipse season.
Yeah. And almost, I want to say, like, sit with your intuition. This is something that, all of us are learning more of, especially when we don't have all the pieces of the puzzle, like, in front of us. Like, how do I get to the next step? It's like, sit with yourself, allow like spirit, universe, God, whatever you believe in, to download it through you and feel what really feels good. You are that sign, Leo, that's like, does this feel joyful for me? Do I feel passionate about this? And if so, then you can start to kind of feel into that more and then create from there when the time comes. So,
yeah. And you, Leos, you have this beautiful ability, like you said, to lean into that joy, lean into that creativity. But this activating your 10th house can also help you take a more practical approach. So use whatever emotions are coming through with this full moon to rationalize or tell you what you value, right? When you're feeling in the flow, when you're feeling creative and free is when you are your highest self, Leo. So when you're feeling that, take note of it, even like write it down. What am I doing when this is happening? And try to build your goals for the next couple years around that feeling, around that value.
Love that. So good.
All right, 2 more signs. Cancer, this is activating the 11th house. This full moon is in your 11th house if you're a Cancer or a Cancer rising. So I see this as reminding you, Cancer, of your connection to everyone else, your connection to the earth, your connection to humanity, your connection to your community, your people. This could bring shifts in the group you have around you and your friendships. It could change the dynamic of friendships. It could change how you show up in the collective or in the groups of people you hang around. And so that stillness could be very helpful for you to really figure out your own identity, what makes you different, what makes you uniquely you, so you can find a collective of people over the next couple of years, find that community that is more aligned with your values and with your true self.
Yeah. And knowing as well that, Cancer is more of that feminine sign, same with Taurus, right? It's very more so yin. And so it's like I almost feel this is like, okay, we're bringing more of that divine feminine to the collective as well here. So if that's something that you're feeling really called toward, if you're a Cancer rising or a Cancer sun, and you're like, I really want to, bring more intuition or whatever it might be, into your groups, or even, again, just the collective, I think that that's really important right now.
Absolutely. And with that, there's been I think so many people have been experiencing change over the past couple years with these eclipses on the Gemini Sagittarius axis. And remember that the group of people you have around you, if they're not aligned with you, then they're not meant to go forward with you in your journey. Whoever is aligned with you, whoever is meant to grow with you, will come along for the ride. So, Cancers, you love that stability, you love that security, but don't be afraid to let people fall away or even let beliefs fall away if they're not serving you anymore. This is all about that new energy that you're calling in, the new people you're calling in, and your relationship, like I said, to the world, how you fit into the big picture.
Yeah, and we know it can be scary sometimes for, our Cancers, and their crabs and their shells protect them, but just think of the ways that you've changed, and now moving into this new crab shell that you're ready for. There's going to be all new groups of people that are waiting to meet you. So I hope that brings some comfort as you make your transition.
Yes, I see lots of new friendships for Cancers in the next 2 years. Lots of new relationships and communities, I think, that will be way more aligned and actually help you propel even further in your own journey. Okay, last sign, Gemini. This is activating the 12th house. So this is for Gemini and Gemini rising. I see this as a big old release. At the end of Scorpio
Mhm.
season, you can just whatever you didn't get done, let it go. Say
Let it-
goodbye to what's not serving you. Say goodbye to beliefs that are holding you back. This is a chance to just like wipe the slate clean for this next cycle of eclipses. Just
Mhm.
allow yourself to sit in this ending, be still in this ending, because when you allow things to fall away, when you really embrace the ending, it can make for a much cleaner and easier new beginning.
Oh, 100%. Geminis, you guys have, you've been having these eclipses hang out.
Mm,
Nodes are in your, like, it's been a lot. It's been a lot.
yeah.
And so reflect, be kind to your mind, let go. And again, we're not making those forward motions, but we can start thinking and feeling into what might the next cycle in my life start to look like. Like it's, let It Go is so good. Let It Go. I have that now stuck in my head, that song. So that's good.
Yes. If you're a Gemini, like just listen to Let It Go from the
Yeah,
Frozen
that's your,
soundtrack today.
yeah,
Like that's your assignment. Just sit down by yourself, close the door. You don't even need to meditate. Just listen to Let It Go
yeah,
or some sort of song about release if that's not your vibe. But really, you know, the past couple of years for Geminis and Sagittarius is too, because this is activating the health aspect for Sagittarius. Is I really feel like you've done a lot of healing and you reflected a lot on your healing over the past 2 years. And this could bring a new chapter of healing, but really acknowledge how much you've grown, how much you've changed, all the hard work you've already done, and allow that healing to really sink in the stillness of this Taurus full moon.
Yes, that's so, so good. Also, I want to just kind of put in here as well is that with the 12th and 6th house kind of axis, sometimes I see this as mental health stuff coming up. So again, being really kind to yourself, reaching out for support if you need it. That's like totally normal to do. And as we leave and let go of things, there's a grieving process that kind of comes up. So just keeping that in mind as like it's a cycle, it's closing. And so if you need support during that time to help you through it, do it. Like it's going to be benefiting you in the long run.
Yeah, the 12th house really represents the end of that life cycle. And I almost view it as a person kind of at the end of their life, like when you're at the end of your life, that's what you want. You want the people you love around you. You want that support and hopefully usually people get that support, but it's also such a beautiful moment, as sad as death can be or letting go can be. None of us actually know what's on the
Mhm.
other side, and
Mhm.
and there's kind of, in a weird way, this is probably my Scorpio moon. I'm like, yeah, deep darkness.
Go
But
there. Yes.
in a weird way, it's so beautiful, this unknown. Like it's so exciting that after we leave this earth, after we leave this cycle, after we leave this phase, we don't know what's on the other side of it. And I think it's probably a lot better than this
Mhm.
past experience that we've had. So
Mhm.
just be open to the unknown and acknowledge all the healing, all the work you've already done to get here.
Yeah. Yeah. Give yourself some love.
Yes, I love that. Okay, so those were all the signs we went through. I love people commenting their signs. Jennifer is a Virgo rising, and yeah, I feel you, girl. I feel
Yeah.
you for sure. I think we need some travel on the schedule in 2022, Jennifer.
Mhm.
Um, so, any final thoughts on this eclipse, on the next couple years, what you're seeing, what you're calling in?
Yeah. I talk about this a lot over on Bravely Beautiful brand, but I am been working with the Saturn Uranus square or Uranus Saturn square. And it's been such a big theme over this past year. It's been a big point of change for a lot of people in our belief systems and what we feel inside of us and all these things. So just I think that we covered this, but like reflection, huge. Okay. And also
Yeah,
like, yeah, give yourself credit for how much you've changed. Like that's not easy,
yeah.
but you've done it. Like you've done it. You're here right now. Like that's amazing. And you're here for a reason. So if you're feeling called to change in the next little bit, especially our fixed signs, I see all of you. I see all of you a lot right now. Like, it can be a little challenging to change, but you know, again, kind of like what Olivia just said, like the new cycle of that unknown is calling us. So get a little bit excited.
Get excited, get
Mhm.
grounded. We don't
Yes.
know the changes that are coming. We don't know the shifts that are coming. Nobody can predict what's going to happen. But just make sure you feel really rooted in yourself, in your own values, in your own beliefs, and being, I think, like you said, being more secure in yourself and being where you're at, meeting yourself where you at
Mhm.
can allow you to be excited for change because you're already secure in yourself. Anything that's going on around you is not going to affect the peace that you have found within yourself.
Mm.
So really lean into that stillness and that peace today. And I think that that will serve you well, whatever comes your way during
Mhm.
eclipse season.
Yes. Yes. Stand tall like a tree. Okay. We are rooted. Yeah.
Yes. We are a Taurus tree, okay? We've got the roots. The next 2 years, like we're growing, we're changing, we're calling in our value, we're knowing our worth. It's gonna be
Mhm.
great. Get
It
excited.
is going to
Yeah,
be great.
I think that's the bottom line. Like, get excited. This is change is fun. Change is
Yes.
good, even if it's scary. Sometimes the scariest things are the most fun things.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're seeing all this chatter on social media about eclipse season and don't manifest and like kind of this fearful narrative, you don't have to subscribe to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, take the warning. Don't do anything crazy over the next couple weeks, but
Mm-hmm.
get excited for 2022. I really feel like this is a preview of 2022 and 2023.
Yes. And there is good things coming in 2022. Like,
Mhm.
you know, we've got Jupiter moving into Pisces, which is a whole other topic, but I am this is good news. Like this will be good. This will bring lots of blessings in new ways. So just keep that in your mind.
Yes, lots of energy shifts always, but especially 2022 is an angel number year, 222. The focus is going to be on partnerships, on income, on money, all things that Taurus is all about too, with that Venus placement. And it's funny because Venus just moved into Capricorn. Venus entered its shadow period a few days ago. So we're feeling that Venus energy as well because Taurus is ruled by Venus, and we had this full moon in Taurus. So we might all be feeling more themes around our relationships, our relationship with money, our desires, things like that.
Mm.
And those themes are going to play out before 2022
Oh yeah.
when Venus goes retrograde in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So that could bring some changes to Venus retrograde as far as our relationships, and that goes for everybody, not just specific signs.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Like I'm sure you're going to talk about it more, so I can't wait to hear like more about that as we go on, but it's a big one, and it's I'm excited for it. So I hope other people are too.
I feel like that's just the energy to be in with astrology in general, just to like get excited for whatever changes are coming. We keep saying we're excited, but both of us talking before this stream, we're like, have you been hearing everybody online kind of like saying this eclipse is going to be terrible? Like, how are you actually?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're kind of pumped about this. Like, this is how often do we get to see the moon become red? Like, we literally can see it with our bare eyes. This is
Yeah.
the eclipse itself. You know, a lot of times they're associated with natural disasters, but I almost see it itself as a natural disaster or a natural phenomenon that we all just stop and take this moment to see our own Earth's shadow moving across the moon. Like, this is a miraculous moment that we're here to witness.
And it connects us all. This is the thing that I love about the moon and the moon cycles is we are literally all connected no matter where we are in the world by that beautiful, gorgeous thing up in the sky. And so if there's ever a time if you feel alone or whatever, it's like, no, like we're all connected. And so that's powerful to me. Again, that's my Scorpio moon probably, but
I just got like full chills when you said that, though. I think that's why people are drawn to the moon so much because, yeah, we all have it in common. And some parts of the world couldn't see the eclipse, but definitely, I'm sure, could feel the energy of it. And, you know, all of the Western Hemisphere basically saw this same phenomenon last night. So yeah, what a great note to end on. We're all connected. We're all dealing with the eclipse energy, the shifts, the changes. There's going to be shifts in 2022 and 2023 when it comes to humanity, when it comes to the entire world. And so just being open to it and getting excited for it. Like we are here on this earth right now, like you said, for a reason. Like we were put here at this time. We are so lucky to live at this time in history.
Yeah, 100%.
And again, a historic eclipse. This wasn't just a regular eclipse, the longest eclipse in more than 500 years, since the 1400s. So
it's really on brand for the lives that we're living. Just all the rarities.
Totally. Yeah, we are on Earth to witness this historic event. How amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, Court. So before we go, I want you to have the opportunity for the people who have been watching and, of course, falling in love with you. How can they follow you? How can they learn from you? I know you have so many astrology resources for people to take advantage of.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. So yeah, you can follow me at Bravely Beautiful Brand. That's where I do astrology readings. I also have a beginner's course. So it's something that's very helpful for people who are just wanting to kind of start to learn. And, I try to break it down as easy as possible. And I am always sharing like fun stuff over there. But what I will say is I also have a podcast, which one day Olivia will be on mine for sure. It's Saturn Return Diaries. And so what I do is, because I'm going through my own Saturn return, and I know Olivia is
same.
Yeah. I interview people who are going through or who have gone through their Saturn return, and the intention is to help normalize that period of our lives and to take the fear out of it and instead learn from one another. So you can find all that over at Bravely Beautiful Brand, of course. But yeah, super fun. And I'm on YouTube. I'm all over the place. So there we go.
She's everywhere. Just search Bravely Beautiful Brand or Court Burns. You'll find her. And if you're somebody who is interested in astrology and has wanted to learn more, her Astro 101 course is a great place to start. I've had a lot of people, as I've been sharing more astrology content, asking where can I learn the basics, and I always point them over to you because I'm like, this is perfect. There, it's like easy, basic. Astrology can be really intimidating when you're first learning, and so I know that you're a great person to learn from because you just keep it real.
Yeah, I used to work in the school board, so I know how to I saw you talk about this yesterday. You were trained how to speak to grade 5s, right? Or that kind of level. And I'm like,
journalism is supposed to be at that level. Yeah.
Yeah. Mine was kindergarten. So I'm like, how can I break this down?
Even better.
Yeah, exactly. So I have all that stuff over at Bravely Beautiful Brand.
I love that. And on one last note about your podcast, Saturn Return Diaries, I have to ask you, I've been wanting to ask you this. Did you see Adele talking about her Saturn return?
Yes. And did you see that she had
earrings
tattoo? I'm like, this is it.
I got her like email announcement that her new album 30 is coming out, and she literally talked about her Saturn return in the announcement. And I was like, oh my gosh, how many people got this email? How many people are being exposed to what a Saturn return is just because Adele created probably this like heart-wrenching album about her Saturn return? Seriously. Like how exciting.
Wouldn't it be so cool? I'm manifesting this one day to like chat with her. Could you imagine?
I am seeing that for you. Like she's coming on Saturn Return Diaries. Keep in mind, I think Adele is also a Taurus. So activating a new sense of self with this eclipse season. She just came out with this new album. She's putting herself out there in a new way. She's identifying differently now that she's divorced. She's talking about that a lot more. And that's a great example of how this eclipse is probably activating her chart, this kind of renewed sense of self as she's showing up in a new way now. And hopefully she talks more about her Saturn return.
She's post Saturn return, which is just like, okay, here I am in the new world, new me, new version, which is quite amazing to witness. And her music we will be able to feel it through her music for sure.
I know. I can't wait for this album. All right. Anything else you want to say? Any last minute notes?
Just so much love for you. And I'm so grateful for you. And also just like amazing to watch your vision come to life. So thank you for being here and doing this. Cause I think I was like, you know what? I want to wake up in the morning. The only news I want to watch is like some spiritual news or astrology news. And you just did both. So there we go.
Well, that is perfect. That's why I wanted to do this, to create this morning experience for people like me who want to know about the energy of the day. And I almost forgot, speaking of the spiritual aspect, we've got to pull a card. So this is the Moonology deck. It doesn't have, it didn't come with a guidebook. So we're just going to see what moon phase comes up. And yeah, we'll end on that note, seeing what energy the universe is bringing. I almost asked you to have some cards ready because I feel like I am just pulling from the same decks over and over again.
I could have.
I know, but then I'm like, we're talking about the moon. I'll just do a moon deck.
Yeah.
Okay, one more shuffle. Okay, what do we need to know as we head into eclipse season? Okay, well, we got a full moon card, so love that. And I feel like this is so perfect for you because we got the full moon in Aquarius card.
There it is.
Yes. And the message is show the world the real you. Oh, so good, especially with all the talk we've been doing about getting rooted in yourself, getting rooted in your own values, getting rooted in your own worth. Really sitting with yourself, sitting in that stillness can help you remember who the real you is. So when we're more extroverted and taking action after eclipse season, you're ready to show other people who you've become and who you really are. So I love when that happens. We get a full moon card on the full moon, so affirming. And this full moon in Aquarius too, really all about our individuality and what makes us special, what makes us unique, as well as thinking about other people and the state of the world.
Be yourself and, think of the collective, and also like know that it's okay to like take time for you. Like, again, put your own mask. What is the gas mask or whatever on the, not gas mask.
Yes.
The airplane. You got to put your own,
yeah,
put that on first. So then that way we can help everyone else. I'm learning that every single day. So just sharing that as well with everyone. It's important.
Spoken like a true Aquarius, so perfect. We got the full moon and Aquarius card. We're talking about the full moon. We have an Aquarius on the show. Such confirmation. I love it.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming on with me this morning. It's been so fun having somebody to chat with and kind of channel the energy with and hear your perspective. And we'll have to do this again soon.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I can't wait to have you on the podcast one day and we'll hear your story.
Oh my gosh, I have so much to talk about. I'm still going through my Saturn return, but I feel like knowing that you're going through your Saturn return can help you navigate it a little bit better.
100%.
And the same thing goes with an eclipse. Knowing that we're in eclipse season, understanding the energy, knowing that it's a good time to just be still and get rooted in yourself can help you navigate any chaos, any unexpected events that do come up. That's the beauty of astrology.
Yes, it's beautiful language.
All right, Court, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. We'll be back here on Monday morning at 7:30, and we'll be in Sagittarius season by then. So let's get ready to have a lot of fun. And I hope that you learn a lot, connect with other people this weekend with the moon in Gemini. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for everybody who commented, talking about the cards, talking about their signs. It's all great. It's all welcome. Love you all for tuning in, and have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye. Stay curious.
I was like, do I leave?